News and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I've read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is a fiction author and a former tech executive and the author of the book Burner, no other than Mr. Mike Trigg. Welcome
Hi,
to Book
Daniel.
101. Yes, welcome to Book 101, Mr. Mike. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I am an author of two novels, contemporary thrillers. As you mentioned, my most recent book is called Burner. It is a dark web conspiracy thriller. And my debut novel came out in 2022. It was called Bitflip. And that is a more of a corporate thriller, which was loosely based on my experience as a tech executive over 20 years in Silicon Valley.
Mr. Mike, what real world events or personal experiences inspired Burner?
Well, truth be told, the January 6th Capitol riots were a big genesis of the book. I think that that was a day that obviously many people remember, regardless of what your political affiliations are. And it was one where I think that you really saw a movement that could sort of, I want to say completely get out of control, but it was not necessarily where the originators wanted the day to end up. And so um, that was really kind of the inspiration for the novel. The premise of the book is that the protagonist Shane is in jail for for a conspiracy and is being tried for treason. And so I thought, yeah, it's a really interesting premise to have something that really gets an underground movement, a dark web movement that uh, starts out with populist intentions, but then sort of spins out of control.
How do you balance thriller elements with deeper thematic layers?
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear the question there, Daniel.
How did you balance thriller elements with deeper thematic layers?
Yeah, that's always been, I guess, my lane as an author, if you will, is I write about the impacts of technology on modern life. And so it is a tricky balance to get right. You want, as a thriller writer, you want your novel to have the pacing and intensity and twists that readers of that genre expect. But I always feel like the books that left the biggest impact on me were ones that, had offered a little bit deeper commentary about society and personalities and contemporary social dynamics. And so that's what I really have tried to offer in both the novels is a critique, if you will, of our technology dependent lives.
How does the title Burner signify beyond its surface meaning?
Yeah, it really, I liked the title because it has multiple meanings. So, obviously in contemporary vernacular, a burner typically refers to a burner phone, which is core to the plot. The two protagonists, Shane and Chloe, alternate and are both very dependent on technology, dependent on phones, as we all are in modern life.
Let's talk about the characters and psychology, Mr. Mike. How
Is
did
also the handle of this. Is the handle of the protagonist his his burnouts? Felt like burner referred I think is
people, I want to apologize. Mr. Mike is disconnected. So while we're waiting for him, I'm inviting you to please do listen to one of my audiobooks, people. One of my audiobooks, Book 101, Volume 3. Suggestions: Earth Fever, the Unraveling Climate, and Our Race to Restore Balance. Book 101 Review, Volume 2 selected. And Book 101 Review, Volume 1 highly recommended. These are my 100 episodes of my first season on Book 101 Review. Thread of Existence, one of my self help books. Life is Too Short, a journey of discovery, fulfillment, and joy. And Stand Tall, Stand Together, breaking the chains of bullying. So while we are waiting for Mr. Mike, let's listen one of my uh, paragraph. Oh, my life is too short. Or I think this is the introduction. Life is too short. A journey of discovery, fulfillment, and joy by Daniel Leakes. Narrated by the author. Prologue. We all know the old adage, life is short. Each phrase is spoken in passing, scribbled on inspirational posters, whispered in moments of reflection. Yet, how often do we truly ponder its profound meaning? Life is too short. A journey of discovery, fulfillment, and joy is not merely an exploration of the timeless truth. It's an invitation to live it. It's a call to awaken to the extraordinary gift of existence, to embrace our limited time on this earth, and to forge a life filled with meaning, purpose, and joy. In this age of relentless busyness, we are often caught in a whirlwind of responsibilities and distractions, losing sight of what truly matters. We become prisoners of routine, shackled by the mundane, and our lives slip away unnoticed and celebrated. This book is your guide to breaking free. Through the following chapters, we'll embark on an inspiring journey together. We explore what it means to live fully, Well, Mr.
to
Mike,
shed
while
the
I'm waiting for
shackles of
you,
fear and
I'm
complacency.
promoting my audiobooks. So let's continue talking about your book.
Great.
And my next question is, let's talk about the characters and psychology. How did you craft your protagonist's moral ambiguity to feel authentic?
Yeah. Yeah, that was really important to me. The male protagonist, Shane, is kind of a tragic character. He is kind of unable to not follow his worst impulses. And he derives his sense of self worth, as many people do, young people especially, from his online following. And so that leads him to act and behave and make decisions that he might not otherwise make, that have tragic consequences. And so that's really one of the big, moral statements of the book, is that that is not the way to live your life. That he ends up imperiling the woman he loves because he's so addicted to his online persona that he does things that put her in jeopardy. And so that was, to me, a really the sort of the ultimate manifestation of that conflict within a particular character.
Mr. Mike, tell us, was there a scene you caught that would surprise readers?
A scene that I cut. Uh, no, I think what was challenging in writing this book, it's kind of got this. what a geeky writer phrase for it is this epistolary framework. So there's a lot of content that's pulled from three different narrators that each speak in first person, but also additional information, text messages, court transcripts, um, FBI surveillance recordings, and those all inform the plot as well. So when I wrote it, um, I wanted the reader to really almost feel like they were unpacking this mystery of what's going on, what's going to happen. But as a writer, uh, it's not linear sequential single narrator, so it became sort of hard in my own head even to keep the different pieces together, and they could be assembled and reassembled. I sometimes described writing this book as solving a Rubik's cube, but I think I was really happy with where it landed, because I think that writing style was really meant to exemplify the fractured attention span that we have in modern life, where we're constantly distracted, we're constantly battling emails, text messages, push notifications, etc., and it can be hard to kind of keep your concentration, keep a thread. And I wanted the book to sort of have that unsettling feeling a little bit.
What research did you do to portray the psychology of deception and convincingly?
Yeah, yeah, this book required actually quite a bit of research, and I'm fortunate to have uh, contacts and relationships that were very helpful in doing that. Um, the end acknowledgments recognize some of the people that helped with this, but um, there are several. There's the protagonist is the subject of an FBI investigation, so I had um, several different former FBI agents offer their opinions about what how an investigation of this sort would be conducted. There's a lot of the uh, scenes take place in prison. In the opening scene, Shane's just been arrested and accused of domestic terrorism. And so I have another writing colleague who was a former prison warden. He was incredibly helpful in making those parts of the script authentic. There's a lot of media content and coverage, and I have a friend who's a reporter uh, in New York who offered her insights on those portions of the script or the manuscript. So it really was a team effort. And then with all of that, there was a lot of research that went into it. One of the um, things I mentioned, there's these court transcripts in it, and for that, one of my research was into um, the Oklahoma City bombings, which happened in the early '90s, and was a major case of domestic terrorism. And so that was very interesting to read how those transcripts were written, how the lawyers in those cases handled questioning of the defendant. And so it was there was a lot of research involved in this to try and get the authenticity of it right. And then there are places where I'm sure a reader who has expertise in this area would note that I've made errors of some sort. Some of those errors are intentional for the sake of an interesting plot. One big one that I'm cognizant of is that a case of this magnitude wouldn't get through the courts in nearly the speed that it's portrayed in the book. But you have to have some suspension of disbelief to write compelling fiction, and so there are a few things in there like that.
Mr. Mike, as an author, what are your short term and long term goals?
Uh, I've got more books in the works. So I've got a third novel that is on submission right now with several publishers. I've got a fourth book that I actually just finished a first draft of that manuscript. Um, my goal in terms of being an author is less about being a bestseller or making a lot of money or anything like that. My goal in being an author is really to offer thought-provoking commentary about some of the things, the aspects of modern life, and again, technology's impact on modern life. I think there's a real sense of anxiety that people have about the pace with which our world is changing. The latest development on that front is, of course, artificial intelligence is having almost a daily revelation about how our lives are going to be different in this age of AI, and that can create a lot of angst for people. And so, I think one of the jobs of literature is to be thought provoking, to ask those questions, to depict what life might be like because of some of the technology trade offs that we make. And that I hope I can be a voice in that conversation and get people to think about these issues.
Definitely. And good luck to your goals, Mr. Mike. And looking forward for more success. What will be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be an author like you?
I think the best advice that I got as an author, and it's enough that there's a cliche around the phrase, which is write what you know. I my first novel depicted an executive at a tech company who discovers possible fraud within the organization. That part never happened to me, the fraud part, but I was an executive in tech companies for a long time. And so I knew that world. I really could visualize the scenes in that book. It came to me pretty, I don't want to say effortlessly because every book is a lot of effort, but I really enjoyed writing it. And I think if you write about subjects that you're passionate about, that you're knowledgeable about, it just makes the writing easier. And the readers can hear that authenticity in your voice, right? So I think really being yourself, pursuing the subjects that you're passionate about, and don't worry too much about the outcome in terms of getting a big publishing deal or being a bestseller. We all want those successes as an author, but I think the authors who I most admire, I feel like aren't pursuing those things. They do it because they love it. They can't imagine not being an author, and that's certainly how I felt about it.
Well, thank you for that advice, Mr. Mike. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Yeah, I can. I actually just finished this book yesterday, so it's top of mind and it's sitting here on my desk. It's the new release by Chris Pavoni. It's called The Doorman. Um, this is an excellent example of what I just described. It reminds me a little bit of Tom Wolfe's Bonfire of the Vanities. It's set in New York, around an expensive apartment building. As the title refers to, it centers largely on the doorman of that building, but it's just incisive commentary about uh, life in New York, about social stratification, about economic uncertainty, about political polarization. It's an excellent book. He wrote another book a couple years ago earlier called Two Nights in Lisbon, which had a similar kind of moral to its story as well. But at the same time, very fast paced, excellent thriller. So I'd highly recommend it.
Highly recommended indeed. So, Mr. Mike, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast, law 101 and Mental Health 101 Love Letters in its third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 and fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Mike, does this novel open doors to a potential series or explore new creative territory for you?
This particular one, I think, is a one and done. I don't want to spoil the ending by explaining why that is, but I have not yet had an inspiration for a series. I'm open to it, but I think that I'd want it to be not too formulaic. I don't know that the world needs another detective series or spy series, and so what that would be remains to be seen. But no, this one is a one and done, unless you know, unless Hollywood gets the rights and they insist on a sequel.
Yes, indeed. Looking for that, Mr. Mike. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world.
My pleasure. My pleasure is
Yes.
mine, Daniel.
So, can you please invite our listeners to support your books itself?
Yes, yeah. Thank you so much for having me on, and really appreciate our conversation today.
So, Mr. Mike, where do people buy your book or books?
Oh, you can find it anywhere you buy books. You can obviously find it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. You can order it through your local bookstore, which I always encourage people to do. They probably won't have it in stock in the store, but you can order it on their website, and they'll deliver it to you.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Mike Trigg because if you support him for sure, more and more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Mr. Mike, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Danielle.
More to come, people. See you soon.